St Teresa of Avila was once shown the place that was ready for her in hell. She was one of those souls that could have gone to great glory or to great perdition, but there was huge energy in her will. Grace and nature worked together to do a wonderful work. Providence, at the right time, made her encounter the younger St John of the Cross, who at the time was thinking of making a transitus to the Carthusians. They eventually reformed the Carmel together. Years ago, I was guiding a young lassie from Siena who wanted to enter the religious life. Normally we would send a lassie of this nature to our friends at Lecceto, the Augustinian nuns who were very fervent and were bursting with vocations. But she wanted to go further. She wanted to go to the Carmelites. She wanted to go to the source. She wanted to enter the very monastery of Teresa herself in Avila. Therefore I was a little while in contact with their superiors. It was interesting, the life there, for they very much were aware of the link with the Holy Mother. The double grata, the grill, where St Teresa would dialogue with St John of the Cross, was still there. Indeed, it is said that they would actually go into ecstasy together. Communion of soul in grace. The particularity of the Carmelites is their interiority. The insistence is not so much on liturgical splendor as on interior decorum and order. The beauty of the soul, the temple of God, where the Son of God is embraced in loving gaze for long periods, for they cultivate the interior life. Therefore, 1 hour of mental prayer in the morning and another in the evening. They are trained, for actually there aren't any shortcuts with regard to the interior life. St John of the Cross, in his maxims, has interesting tips, one of which is that the interior life is incompatible with much talking. And this was the fascination of La Trappe. But I remember actually at Selignac how one of our very holy monks who did receive the Laudabilter Vixit, which is the internal beatification in the order, Don Martin, hardly ever spoke. And when he was dying, and he knew he was dying, he was at the time vicar to the nuns, he wrote this message for the Mother Superior and the sisters, and they found it when they found him dead. He knew that the Lord was coming for him, even though he was fairly young. He was about 67 or so. He wasn't ill. And he did leave this. The secret of the interior life is holy silence. And it is true, for so much complication enters the soul and so much energy is drained from it when one engages in conversation. When all the energy of the soul goes towards the Lord, one is hugely streamlined. And then one sees that certain consequences follow. When one is silent externally, one becomes silent internally, and one picks up far more. Lights, nudges, intuitions, and then also the will of God. I was in Rome when I wrote these words, wondering which way things would go, for ordination hadn't yet happened at that time. But there was a huge pull to find somehow again the beauty of perpetual silence and solitude. It was all to do with the work of grace and surrender of the will, which rejoins the teaching of Teresa of Avila, that the soul that gives greatest glory to God is the one that has no will left but the divine. Grace, the will of man, is but a particle of unmade matter, dense, whence ever flows the morrow that it shapes. No miracle could be where this was not, and where this flows, the whim of days will follow. For no man tomorrow stands where yesterday was not. And there are hours betimes when moments can, in tapping on a will, still trap our lot. O vision of a cosmos, providence, that moved a moment hither many times in hope of but a catching, turn not hence again in vain. For here something rhymes with patterns seen before upon this shore, of nearness, oft so near, and now no more.